Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to decode the terminology of handguns, objectively categorizing the exact types of pistols highlighted in Paint Wonder's rapid-fire breakdown. Now, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of terms thrown around when people start discussing firearms, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take a highly structured, logical approach to making sense of the whole shebang.
So, we are focusing on exactly 8 distinct pistol classifications derived from our source material. The original creator managed to sprint through these in a quick 4-minute list, which, frankly, is an incredibly fast pace. Our goal in this explainer is to slow things down just a bit and transform that rapid-fire list into a clear, logical framework. By the end of our time together, you won't just have memorized 8 random terms. You're going to fundamentally understand how they categorize the entire world of handguns.
All right, we've got our master list of all 8 terms covered by the source: revolver, semi-automatic, striker-fired, SA/DA, compact, subcompact, full-size, machine, and tactical. Now, if you just look at this list as a flat group of words, it feels a bit chaotic, right? It mixes up how a gun actually works with how big it is and what special features it has. So we're going to group these together so you can easily understand how they relate to one another without getting your wires crossed.
Okay, let's dive right in by sorting these 8 terms into 3 logical buckets. First up is firing mechanisms. Second is form factor and size. And third, specialized tactical pistols.
Starting with Section 1, Firing Mechanisms Explained. This is all about how the pistol operates.
The absolute oldest mechanical classification on our list is the revolver. It's uniquely defined by its rotating cylinder mechanism. You know, instead of feeding ammunition from a spring-loaded rectangular magazine tucked up into the grip, the revolver holds its rounds in individual chambers. When you pull the trigger, or manually pull back the hammer, that cylinder physically rotates to align the next round perfectly with the barrel. It's an iconic, incredibly reliable piece of engineering.
Moving forward in mechanical design, we reach the semi-automatic. The absolute defining characteristic here is energy recycling. When you pull the trigger, exactly 1 round fires. But instead of you having to manually rotate a cylinder or manually rack a slide to get the next bullet ready, the gun actually uses the explosive energy from the fired round to push the slide back, eject the empty casing, and cycle a fresh round right into the chamber. It automatically prepares itself for your next trigger pull. Pretty clever, right?
Now, what's really interesting here is how striker-fired actually acts as a subcategory of semi-automatics. We're peeling back a layer here. Instead of relying on a traditional heavy metal hammer swinging forward to hit a firing pin, well, actually, scratch that, it just ditches the external hammer entirely. A striker-fired pistol uses an internal, spring-loaded striker mechanism instead. Pulling the trigger simply releases that internal spring, which gives you a very consistent trigger pull and a smooth, snag-free outer profile.
Contrast that with SA, which stands for single action, double action. This term describes exactly how the trigger interacts with a traditional hammer to fire the weapon. In double action, pulling the trigger does 2 distinct jobs. It physically pulls the hammer back, and then it releases it. This creates a heavier trigger pull. In single action, the hammer is already cocked back, so the trigger only does 1 job, dropping the hammer. Understanding this distinction is absolutely crucial to understanding traditional semi-automatic mechanics. Let's move on to Section 2, Form, Factor, and Size. This is where we classify pistols simply by their physical dimensions.
Let's contrast compact and subcompact models directly against full-size models. These terms exist purely in opposition to one another. A compact or subcompact has a smaller overall frame, a much shorter barrel, and a reduced grip size. It's optimized primarily for concealability and portability. A full-size pistol, on the other hand, maximizes the frame and the grip. I mean, this isn't about hiding the tool, it's about maximizing your ammunition capacity, managing recoil way better, and getting a full grip for ultimate control.
So here is the big takeaway. Size defines the footprint, not the firing mechanism. A pistol can absolutely be both a semi-automatic mechanically and a compact-subcompact dimensionally at the exact same time. These categories don't fight with each other. They layer on top of one another like building blocks. You can have a massive full-size revolver or a tiny subcompact striker-fired pistol. Once you get this layered understanding, it turns a confusing list of buzzwords into a totally clear, functioning vocabulary.
Finally, we've reached Section 3, Specialized Tactical Pistols, focusing on purpose-built functions and modifications.
The machine pistol term designates a specialized capability that steps entirely outside of standard semi-automatic mechanics. While a semi-auto fires exactly 1 round per trigger pull, a machine pistol allows for continuous, fully automatic fire or sometimes specialized burst modes as long as the trigger is held down. It takes the compact form factor of a handgun but injects the rapid-fire rate of an automatic weapon. Because of this, it's a highly distinct, strictly regulated, and extremely specialized category. And rounding out our list of 8 is the tactical classification. This term points to operational enhancements rather than a specific internal mechanism or a size. A tactical pistol is generally a standard handgun that's been purposely modified to accept accessories. We're talking about underbarrel rails for mounting flashlights or lasers, optics-ready slide cuts for red dot sights, or threaded barrels designed to attach suppressors. It's an entire category defined by its modularity and its readiness for specialized gear. And that brings us to our complete taxonomy. We've taken that original rapid-fire list and organized it into a clear, memorable framework. Now, when you hear revolver or striker-fired, your brain instantly files that under mechanics. When you hear subcompact, you immediately know we are talking about size. And when someone brings up a tactical or machine pistol, you'll recognize that as a specialty designation. Consider this your cheat code for navigating handgun terminology.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. Reflecting on the distinct differences between a gun's mechanics, its size, and its specialized purpose, if you were handed a completely unknown firearm, which of these classifications would be the absolute most vital piece of information to know before interacting with it? Think about how these different layers of terminology completely shape the tool's real-world application. Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown, and as always, keep seeking clarity in everything you learn. See you next time.